for the win. Lutz kicks it on the way, and it.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, there we are. We're back. We're off. We're running. Another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out here with you until 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and a Tuesday morning that sees plenty of stuff to get through here in just 2 hours. A lot of college football talk. I know Alabama and Auburn are both stepping out of conference this week as they get ready for the Iron Bowl, which, by the way, will be a 2:30 kick right here over our airwaves next week. But this week, you've got Alabama taking on Chattanooga. You've got Auburn taking on New Mexico State. We'll touch on those a little bit. We'll also touch some more on the openings within college football. How many openings right now are there in college football? I bet you didn't know or forgotten a couple of them, but we'll run down how many there are. We'll hear from Jim Harbaugh. Wow, the dude is losing his mind. If we have time to hear from that. We'll check in with Lane Kiffin, who had some interesting thoughts on just how long coaches are given these days to get a program going on. And we got other stuff to get through, but we've got full phone lines right out of the gates this morning, 256-576-4977. We don't want to make him hold for 29 minutes today because he was a little hangry yesterday. Jeff from the Borough with us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
How you doing, guys?
Morning.
First of all, I just want to say, you know what, first of all, Scott, you were talking about the timing rules in college football yesterday.
Yeah.
How much you love them. I wish they had done this 10 years ago. I love every single minute of it. I love it.
Why?
Because I don't want games, Scott, to start at 11 and finish at 3 o'clock. I don't want 4-hour games.
They're only going like 8 minutes, 5 minutes less than a game.
But let me tell you something. Then you're a hypocrite. Then don't talk about baseball having long games. Don't have pitch clocks in that. Hurry up, pitch the ball. Hurry up. Don't be doing that. If you don't want to, don't be doing.
I'm just talking about college football. I just think that's what made college football unique.
It's the same difference. Baseball's the same difference. If I was baseball commissioner tomorrow, everything would go back. No pitch clock, no runners at second starting the extra innings. They could shift everything. I'll have 8-hour games for goodness sakes. They can adjust their gloves for 20 hours if they want to before they hit. I don't give a rat's butt. Okay? And the thing about it is, I'm going to say this about college because it's already started. My alma mater played Western Carolina last night, lost by 2. They're 3-0. They went to Notre Dame Saturday, and why? I know you don't know. They went to Notre Dame and won by 10 Saturday. Western Carolina did, 71-61. Okay, there's a guy, he used to do a show in Nashville. He does one in Huntsville now on a competing station. One year, when college basketball started, about the same time it starts now, the Champions Classic had been played. His comments were this: "Stop the nonsense. I'm not ready for basketball again." Now stop the nonsense.
That's why he's on a competing station, because he doesn't feel the love here.
I don't care. He's not very good anyway. I don't care. He's not very good.
No.
Okay. He said, "Stop the nonsense." Okay. He wants basketball to start the week of Thanksgiving. Is what he says. Don't do it.
That's lunacy.
Well, I'm just saying that's the way he is. And see, people like that would never say it about football. They never say, "Stop the nonsense. I'm not ready for football again." They would never say that. The football could start. If they came out tomorrow and said college football started in June and July, people would love it. They said, "Forget about baseball. We'll watch college football. We'll see you. But forget about baseball. We wouldn't fool with it. We just watch college football all the time." Okay? And I talked to Coach Pryor last night, too. Drew, you're a Huntsville legend.
Yeah.
We were talking about some different things. And he said, "I got out of Alabama to coach in another state." And I said, "Why is that, Coach?" He said, "Because I wanted to go to a state where basketball was serious." It's serious, he said. He said, "Where it's serious, another state." Like Tennessee, or he went to Tennessee, came up here, goes back to Alabama because his family and stuff. He said, "Serious." And see, there's a guy in Tuscaloosa told me yesterday, said Kentucky football has no expectations. So I asked him, I said, if Kentucky football has no expectations, I said, does Alabama basketball have any? He said, yes, they don't have any expectations. They don't have any. Okay, and I told him, I said, Alabama and Georgia had the two best football pros in the SEC. There's no doubt about that. But they've got the two worst facilities in the SEC, and their fan bases won't admit it. In Coleman Coliseum, and I call Georgia Stogie, where you smoke your cigars, and that's what it is. Okay.
Okay.
And like I told him when Travis Perry, I said, what is Oates wasting his time recruiting that kid for? Okay, because all he's got to do is look at Rupp Arena and tell Palace bucket list, Coleman Coliseum dump. Any questions? That's all he's got to do. Okay. So
any questions? Is Alabama's been kicking the shit out of you can dump me today that they've been kicking the ever-loving tar out of Kentucky basketball. Now, may not happen this year, Jeff, but I got to tell you, Nate Oates has done a pretty good job of getting Alabama basketball back to being relevant. And Alabama basketball does have a good history. It's certainly not Kentucky, but I'm tired of your mouth. Get off the radio, you freaking clown.
All right, let's move on.
Shut it and get out of here.
Oh.
Now you got me cussing, you piece of trash.
Mark from Spring Hill. Good morning, Mark.
Hold on a second. I need to call the police.
Speaking of stogies, Jeff, I guess you've probably been smoking them. You sound like it.
Well, I got the police in Murfreesboro after him. Hold on. I got the sergeant on the line. No. Anyway, hey, I'm in Spring Hill, a lot better city. Let me go to something relevant real quick. Texas A&M. I know I can't believe I'm going to defend Dirt Deck or whatever we call them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I know I've not heard people talk about this, but I got to wonder if this decision wasn't made weeks ago because they lost to Florida by 7. Excuse me. They lost to not Florida. They lost to Tennessee by 7. Tennessee's a decent team. They lost to Alabama by 6, a team that could make the playoffs. They lost to Ole Miss by 3. That's a total of 16 points and 3 losses of their 4. They just beat Mississippi State like a drum, and Alabama can only beat them by, 3 at home?
No, Alabama beat Mississippi State on the road 40-17.
I mean, you're right, though, Mark. This decision wasn't just made on –
Oh, let's back up. Let's back up. Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Alabama beat Mississippi State at home 24-21 this year.
That was Arkansas, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. It is Arkansas. Okay,
yeah.
You're right. All right, Arkansas. Okay, how do they do against Arkansas? I mean, how did Texas A&M do against Arkansas?
I'll be honest. I can't bring the score up right in front of me.
It doesn't matter. The point I want to make is, I guess I don't like terminations. I mean, I like justifiable terminations. Something about this one. I mean, like when Malzahn was fired, he had lost control of the program. Shula, same thing. And in this case, man, there's just something about when you win like you did, and then you get a big win against State.
Well,
and then, you've lost these close games against quality competition. I can see if you get whipped by these teams. Alabama beats you by 40, which they've done before.
Well, they haven't beat a ranked opponent on the road. I mean, they haven't beat a ranked opponent this year.
They've lost 9 straight on the road.
And they've lost 9 straight on the road.
Yeah.
They've had these great recruiting classes, and yet they cannot win. They cannot lose. I mean, they're losing 4 games a year.
You can see the talent on the field. It's just not all adding up. And they did beat Arkansas 34-22, and it really wasn't that close over in Jerry's world. But, again, I'll just say this: for what Jimbo was getting paid, and it's all guaranteed. You get a 10-year, $95 million extension 2 years ago. Like Czar said in his Unleashed before the show, I mean, they won the Southwest Conference once in the last, the Big 12 once in the last 15 years. They won the Southwest Conference a few times under R.C. Slocum, but good grief, they never since 2012 was their first year in the league in the SEC. They never won the West. They never even came close to winning the SEC championship. They'll tell you they did one time in the pandemic year, but they lost to Alabama by 30. So they really didn't. So they just never – it's always been about potential with A&M.
Right.
Because they have resources, because they have paid coaches throughout the dawn of time. I mean, Coach Bryant was the highest paid, I want to say. Then they made, Jackie Sherrill the highest paid. They certainly, got R.C. Slocum and loved him, and he had a long tenure there. Then they paid Jimbo. I mean, Sumlin was well paid.
Did they pay Franchione?
Yeah, and then they got Franchione away from Alabama, and they thought they were pulling off a coup, and then they lost 77-0 to Oklahoma.
Hey, I'll let you go on this. Don't forget this. Sumlin got paid $30 million.
Something like that.
Okay? So
yeah.
if you do a little research for tomorrow, and I don't mind doing it, and I'll call you and give you the number. I'm gonna assume it's going to be around $160 million since they joined the conference in buyouts. And you're right. This is my final statement. A&M is not an elite program. All right.
They have the potential to be, which is a dangerous word.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You got to do it, right? And I guess I just answered my own question.
Yeah, I mean, they have the potential to be. Yeah,
they're not.
Yeah, and I love Jake Crane. I love him coming on with us, and I respect his opinion. And he said he'd hire Urban Meyer, but I don't necessarily think it's about making a hire like that, because
you don't.
No, because they thought they did it with Jimbo. I think they should just go out and hire a really good, solid football coach. And I'm not saying that to shoot for less than a conference title. What I mean is, get somebody that's a better fit, that's not winning the press conference, that's going to go out and win football games and be consistent, that you're going to support. And really, honestly, R.C. Slocum, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was their defensive coordinator when they were the Wrecking Crew, and he got promoted. He was already on staff, man. It's not like they went off and hired the guy. I think he got promoted and became the head coach and started winning.
Right.
Okay. And so he understood the program. He was well respected by everyone. Olin Buchanan's was on this show before he went off the deep end. And, he said, and he's told me in the past, that they consider him their Bear Bryant, which, it is what it is. But he had the most sustained success. Do you think he was the sexiest hire, man? I mean, think about it. RC, I think that was the only head coaching job. I don't know his entire history. I know it was the only Power 5 head coaching job he ever had. Right. But I'm just saying, he wasn't the sexiest hire, but he was the best fit. And that's kind of what you were hearing from Billy Lucci in the immediate aftermath of when Dirt Neck got fired. It's because, hey, you don't have to win the press conference and A&M went out and hired Urban Meyer. I mean, the dude may flame out in 3 or 4 years or have a nervous breakdown. Go get the best coach for you. If it's a Jeff Traylor, if it's a Mike Elko, I mean, everybody might not say it's the sexiest hire, but it may end up being the best hire for A&M, because they are potentially a great job if you can get the right guy. They just have never done it since 1939. I mean, to get them a national championship. Obviously, R.C. Slocum did a great job.
Right.
Coach Bryant was beating people before he left. But the problem is Jackie Sherrill got into some NCAA trouble.
So they just went out and paid a lot of money for Jimbo, not even really thinking if he was the right guy.
They thought he was. I mean, he'd won a national championship. Right. I mean, and he was ready to get out of Florida State because he had burned every bridge over there. And at the time,
do you think they pay a lot of money then for the next one? Do you think they pay $9-10 million for this next coach?
I don't necessarily think they have to. I mean, like, if you hire Jeff Traylor or Mike Elko, I don't really think you have to pay. It's just like Auburn with Hugh Freeze. They paid $6 million to Hugh Freeze. Auburn probably could have paid what Lane Kiffin's making at Ole Miss. And then, as Czar said on the way in here, Lane Kiffin is the favorite for the A&M job. Why? Why is Lane Kiffin the favorite for the A&M job?
I don't understand that one.
Why? Tell me what he's won. Somebody call in and tell me why Lane Kiffin deserves the A&M job.
Because he lost to Georgia? Because he lost to Alabama? I don't know. Keeping up with the
I'll just tell you this for all you A&M fans. If there's anybody listening out there, I don't know if there is, but if you want Lane Kiffin and he's going to bring wild turkey with him, you better start drinking. Is all I'm saying. I don't care how much talent you buy, how much talent you have. I don't care. The reason Ole Miss is struggling on defense is not because they don't have the hosses that Alabama had. Wild Turkey gave up 52 in regulation to Tennessee with Alabama's talent that you see right now. Okay? Is Alabama giving up 52 this year? No, because they're competently coordinated.
Oh.
I mean, you think you're going nuts right now? Just go ahead and have the Lane Kiffin show, where the biggest event in town is Juice Kiffin's freaking social media accounts.
That would be the
good
dog.
Lord. I don't see that, Scott.
I don't. And I don't see, and I know
and think
there
about
are a couple people also that saying, hey, Deion Sanders needs to get this move. And it's, people just throw names on the wall right now just to see if they stick. That's all this is.
Deion is a big name from the standpoint of his personality and who he is as a person.
Right.
But and you know, and I guess it's almost like his social media profile, but he doesn't have the results to deserve the job.
People
because
are just throwing names. Like I said, people just
he did a really good job on the FCS level in the SWAC. Okay, we know that is proven. But he's in his first year at Colorado, and they're probably not going to a bowl, Scott.
No.
So, and I know Colorado, when he took him over, was 1-11, but he doesn't have the resume either if you're looking at it. And the one thing about Jeff Traylor and Mike Elko is they understand Texas A&M, they understand Texas. And, you know, from what I was hearing yesterday, there's a lot of high school coaches in Texas that didn't like Jimbo anyway because he didn't have a lot of high school coaching connections to the state.
And Jeff Traylor,
even
by the
Sarton
way,
doesn't.
For those that don't know, he's at UTSA.
Yeah,
he's at Texas
Jeff
San Antonio.
Traylor, yeah.
And he's one of these up-and-comers that has great ties to the state of Texas.
He's got 7 Texas high school coaches on his staff.
Yeah.
And they played John Summerall last year in that and they were both 11-win group of 5 teams, and Summerall and those guys won the game, won the bowl game, and John won 12 games, but Traylor's got a heck of a program, and he's done a great job. Like, he's getting very well paid on that level by UTSA, but they've pretty much maxed themselves out. And so Traylor would probably be a really good fit there. I mean, from the standpoint of understanding the state of Texas, understanding the program, might not be the sexiest hire, but I would say underestimated at your own peril that the guy wouldn't win.
All right, 7:17. Let's get our first break in. I know, LC, you're holding. We'll get to you after the break. I promise. We've got a lot of stuff to get through today. We've only just begun. More Talkin' Ball when we return. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Good morning. Working a couple of accidents now on Greenbrier Parkway in front of the Mazda Toyota plant. And we've got changes coming today at University and Research Park. They're going to start restriping. Also going to replace some of the traffic signals there. That project should take about 3 days. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industries, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, and pick up the phone to call, one you've seen on a billboard or on TV begging for your business, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center, not in some office 100 miles away. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to. We're the ones that you meet with.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case. You want to talk to me? You just call me.
And we'll take care of it. You worry about getting well. We'll take care of the rest.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. Be a part of the program with us this morning. Let's go out there real fast before we delve back into what we need to get into. But LC is with us. Good morning, LC.
Good morning, guys. Man, Drew caused my phone to catch on fire. I love the passion.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Jeff, we let him talk yesterday.
He was being ornery again.
Yeah, Jeff just comes in being ornery and trying to push people's buttons. I mean, I was told he said in Tuscaloosa that Bryce Mack and Tua wasn't worth the crap. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, then what's Will Levis then?
Oh, my goodness. I tell you what, the Tennessee Titans fans thought Will Levis was the answer after his first week, and now
it's called the cliffhanger on Price is Right.
Much.
Yeah, not so fast, my friend.
Yeah.
I didn't.
By the way, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Bruce.
No, I was just going to say we haven't heard. You live in Nashville, LC. We haven't heard Jeff bragging about Will Levis the last 2 weeks.
Nope.
Because he's fallen on his face and he's not any good. Next question.
By the way, guys, Biden's going to have us all driving electric cars soon, so A&M won't have all that oil money to buy players, so problem solved.
Yeah.
They'll find a way.
Well, I mean,
I know.
We got people tweeting in at us, and, Bama Bulldog Sales said, and I agree with him. He said, Deion could get recruits, but so could Jimbo. It's not recruiting. They've always been able to get good players. It's about having the right coach and developing players, and that's why I was, it's not, to me, it's not the sexiest hire that you make. It's the right hire, and if A&M can get it right, they got a chance to be really, really good and be elite, but it's just for, X amount of years, and probably only R.C. Slocum was the one that was the best fit.
And there may be a name that we're just not even thinking of because you look at it when the LSU job
because
came
Brian
open,
Kelly left
we
Notre
weren't
Dame.
even thinking Notre Dame. We weren't even thinking a Brian Kelly would leave Notre Dame. There may be a sitting head coach that we're not even thinking about on the radar that could end up at Texas A&M?
I was given a name. I was given Dabo Swinney. But guess what? Dabo Swinney's buyout, $64 million. Is Clemson just going to let him walk on out because of Tyler? Who knows?
Right.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Can I make bring up a Chattanooga player? You know, there's not a lot to talk about Chattanooga, I don't think, but they had a player from Alexander City, Alabama, from 92 to 95 that went on to play 15 years in the NFL and will go down
he's
as one of
talking
the
about.
greatest wide receivers of all time.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, he was a 4th-round pick. We know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now,
I think he's still doing sit-ups
Terrell
or
Owens-
push-ups in his driveway.
He's come to practice at Alabama a few times.
Well, he ended up being a head case. I wonder though, have y'all ever read or heard or anything about did Alabama, Auburn, some of these other SEC teams, did they miss on him, or was there some situations with him that they just weren't comfortable with? How did he end up at Chattanooga, man?
He
Of
was
course,
a
we're
late
talking about
bloomer.
Terrell Owens. That's who we're talking about.
I think it's actually is Terrell, but yeah, he was a late bloomer, and we've even had his former high school coach on the show. He's now retired. LC. He's the former director of the AHSAA, one Mr. Steve Savarese. And I will say this: Coach Sav told us a story on the show one time about T.O., and it was after he made the NFL with the 49ers, and he came back to see Coach Sav, I think when he was coaching in Mobile. I think he was at McGill-Tulane still or somewhere around there, and he'd been at McGill-Tulane and Daphne. And he came to see Coach Sav and tried to give him the keys to a Ford Explorer, and Coach Sav wouldn't take them. He was trying to pay Coach Sav back and give him a car for helping him get to the college level, because I think, again, T.O. was a guy that just blossomed late. He went to Chattanooga, and then I don't think he was a star at Chattanooga right away, but he developed, and then ended up getting drafted by the right team. It's kind of like the 49ers and Brock Purdy. I mean, they've got Brock Purdy right now. Now, they should have drafted Mac Jones, and they blew that one, but they got a mulligan and ended up getting Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant as the last pick of the draft, and they're still rolling because they rolled the dice on Trey Lance, and that didn't work out.
I see, guys. Yeah, Terrell. Hey, what a player, though.
Yeah.
Lastly, guys, and I'm going to go on this, and I appreciate your time. Do you have any comment on Brian Kelly's comments on the targeting, which he's clown of the week, in my opinion, but I'm going to hang up. Love the show, guys.
Well, LC, I'll just say this, and Scott, I think, did you say you had that queued up?
I do have it here, and
Yeah.
so when I said yesterday we were trying to get through 2 hours of a show, and we had 4 hours of material. That was part of what we had, and it came after the LSU game on Saturday. And there was a play within the LSU game, and it was a hit that caused one of the LSU players to be ejected for targeting. After the game, Brian Kelly was asked about that hit versus the hit in the Alabama game. Here was his response.
When you have a situation like we did, where Jaden Daniels gets hit underneath the chin, driven to the ground, and is concussed, and it doesn't get reviewed, and then we have a play like tonight, which was a normal football play where a running back is lowering his shoulder, and we are trying to make a tackle. We're not targeting. We're not trying to lead with the helmet. We're just trying to make a tackle. We throw a kid out of the game. That is tragic. We're in a bad place right now, and we need to stop and figure this out. Because there's a lot of words I could use, but it's tragic that we threw a kid out of a game because he was trying to play football. And whatever semantics, there's going to be a great explanation about this. Oh, he used the crown of his helmet, or he did this, or he did that. He was playing football. Last week, that guy that hit Jaden Daniels was trying to knock him out. You can say whatever you want, but that's what he was trying to do. Our guy was trying to make a tackle. So everybody's smart enough to figure that out. But we have two different outcomes. We got to figure it out.
First of all, I hate the rule. I wish they would get rid of targeting. I think it's stupid. I think it's just football. Unless you hit a guy in the head, to me, that's the only way that it should even be anything close to targeting is if it's helmet to helmet. I think other than that, there shouldn't be targeting. I think the rules should be extremely, stripped. And what I mean is just peeled back until it's till that is the basis of it. Right. Helmet to helmet contact. Other than that, I don't think there should be targeting. I think it should be just only called in extreme situations. Secondly, Brian Kelly is a moron. Okay? Or as I've said on 2 other shows, I guess, hey, everybody here knows who Aquaman is, right? He's got this telepathic power where he can read an animal's mind or somebody else's mind and know exactly what the hell they're going to do and think. And hear what they're thinking and saying. I guess he can read, Dallas Turner's mind. Oh, he's going out there to concuss him. Then why didn't he concuss him in the first series, you moron? I was like, good grief. Stop whining because you got your ass kicked by Nick Saban again. You beat him one time because it was luck, okay? Then he went back to putting his foot up your ass. So that's what I'm saying. Just absolutely stupidity. I mean, I can read his mind. He was out there trying to concuss my quarterback. Yeah, right, okay? It's a football play, dude. Let me ask this, if any LSU fan, was Tyrann Mathieu a dirty player? He played through the whistle. He did a lot of things that pissed people off, but he was a great football player. Should he have been kicked out of every game? No. But he played on the edge. I guarantee you this, if Dallas Turner was wearing an LSU uniform, would Brian Kelly be saying that? Heck no, he'd be saying it was a football play. He got his ass whipped, so he's sitting there whining. That's exactly what this is.
I will agree with you that the targeting rule, the ejections need to change.
And there was a penalty on the play. Don't forget, it was roughing the passer, and I agree with that. Okay? Right. But I mean, again, he hit the quarterback. He knocked the quarterback out. It's football. Just like when Alabama lost guys against Georgia, it was non-contact. But, hey, John Mechie went down. Hey, J-Mo went down. So it's football. It's part of it. And I mean, and we saw Marvin Harrison Jr. get knocked out by Georgia
in the national championship.
It happened in the semifinals.
Or the semifinals.
It happens. It's football. It sucks, but it's football. And guess what? Jaden Daniels played the next week and freaking put on the biggest show in the history of the SEC, and probably he's definitely still on the short list of Heisman winners. He still may win the Heisman. He's the best player I've seen. Right. So credit to him for bouncing back. But I just think it's a bunch of whining by people that got whipped.
All right. Husky Dan, I know you're holding. Hold on for 2 more minutes. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to get to your phone calls. You better be bringing it. If you're calling the show today, you better be bringing it. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s. We're probably going to see a couple of isolated showers across the Tennessee Valley. The best chance for that's going to end up coming Tuesday night, early into Wednesday morning, and then we get other opportunities for rain through Wednesday afternoon. We are going to be a little cooler on Wednesday under a cloudy sky. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Picked up an injury accident, Pulaski Pike and Patterson Lane. Apparently, several vehicles involved in that one with injury. And we got a couple of wrecks on Greenbrier Parkway right in front of the Mazda Toyota plant. Both of those are going to turn out to be no injury accidents. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Want even more excitement on game day? It's time to get on Prize Picks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Here's how it works. Just pick 2 to 6 players and choose more or less on their stats. If you get them right, you could win up to 25 times your cash. It's quick and easy to make your picks, and with fast and safe deposits and withdrawals, Prize Picks is the place to play this season. Prize Picks has awesome weekly promotions, and they're the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Sweat it out. Watch your entry update in real time and continue the fun by making picks on second half and fourth quarter stats. Take your game day experience to the next level with Prize Picks. And right now, you go to prizepicks.com/primetime and use code primetime. Prize Picks is matching your first deposit up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/primetime with code primetime for a 100% deposit match. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for more details.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Did you know that average home equity is at an all-time high? But so is average consumer debt. Even though rates are higher now, you can use your equity to pay off your high consumer debt, student loans, etc., then refi when the rates drop. Don't put off that new home purchase. When rates drop, prices will go up. Buy now and get the best price and then refi when the rates drop. This is the time to talk to the experts at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit northalabamamortgage.com for more information.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the show.
Oh, boy.
Let's see here. So the whole topic that we have had over the last, I should say, 24 hours has been coaches. Oh, we got to get to that too, because you know what? Let's get to that first. Because look, there's so much stuff to get through. And Husky Dan, I know you're holding, but I've got to get to this because Jim Harbaugh yesterday, oh my goodness. Drew, he said they've got to be America's team.
America's team.
Because of this.
The perseverance, and then the stalwartness of these guys. I mean, yeah, watching, I would have to say, everybody. It's got to be America's team. It's got to be America's team. America loves a team that
cheats.
Beats the odds, beats the adversity, overcomes
does everything they can to cheat.
Naysayers and, critics, so-called experts think.
You're paying for coaches to cheat.
And, yeah, watching it from that view on the television, it was finally people get to see what I see every day, in these players and these coaches.
There you go.
I thought you had a funeral the other day, Jim. You know, you're whatever the hell his name is. He was the acting head coach, offensive coordinator. He's crying like you've this is the last days of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, whatever. I mean, come on, they were cheating. I mean, does everybody try to steal signs? Yes, of course they do. But, I mean, he obviously irritated the wrong person, and I'm talking about Jim. Do I think this is a witch hunt? I do. I think it's really dumb. But the bottom line is, don't try to get everybody to feel sorry for you because you had a dang coach where they've got video and still pictures of him with gear of other teams on the sideline trying to record all their signals. I mean, and they got receipts, not receipts in the sense of a Coach Prime receipt,
right.
What somebody said.
We're taking receipts in our heads.
But no, we're not doing that. Oh. But we're talking about receipts like I just bought a ticket to a football game in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm sitting in Neyland Stadium trying to use binoculars and steal your signal.
I'm not just sitting in Neyland
Whatever.
Stadium. I'm sitting 5 rows behind the visiting bench.
Okay.
Just so I can see it better.
And then you fire him.
Yeah.
Let's fire Wild Stallions.
But we're not going to fire him after the Big Ten initially says to fire him.
We're gonna throw him under the bus.
We want to fire him, which is a week after.
I would just ask Jim Harbaugh, are you paying Wild Stallions legal fees?
But they're America's team, baby.
Yeah, they're America's team. If you want to stick your head in the toilet.
Oh, Husky Dan with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
How's it going, guys? Yeah, I've always hated Jim Harbaugh. I actually became a Husky fan watching Washington whip up on Michigan in that Rose Bowl for us to win our first national title. But he's always been a slime. He was a slime when he was with the 49ers as a Seahawks fan watching him. But, yeah, I do miss physical football. Cam Chancellor, sending a message.
The Legion of Boom,
Yeah, exactly. And so it's tough that, with the targeting and all that stuff. But coaching does definitely make a difference. I mean, for someone that had to watch a team lose every damn game.
Oh, yeah.
That's frustrating. And to have season tickets and sit there in that stadium, which is one of the best stadiums to watch a game, and watch your team lose every game. You appreciate, you guys aren't used to winning, but we've won, but we haven't won like they've won there, like you guys have won here. But coaching makes a difference. And to see DeBoer come in, we only won 4 games before he showed up, and he just turned that team around. Not only did he do that, but he kept all the players. Like almost nobody transferred when he came in. So I'm kind of nervous because that would be a perfect kind of guy that could go into Texas A&M and win right away. But my call would probably be to Kyle Whittingham if he would take the job, because I think he's done everything he can do at Utah, but it'd be interesting to see his defenses in the SEC if he could actually win.
What about that one?
Chris Peterson, who I think is one of the most underrated coaches in college football. If he wanted to get back to the game, I think he could turn that program around for sure.
Those are interesting. That's interesting. Those are some interesting thoughts. What about a Kyle Whittingham?
Well, I mean, he stayed there for so long because much like Gary Patterson when he took the reins from Dennis Fraud Phoney, he ended up winning for 16 years. Whittingham's done it for even longer. His name hardly ever comes up for jobs, to move on. I don't know that I think he'd be another probably good fit culturally for A&M as far as the kind of football he plays. But I just don't think, and then you have to want to leave. I don't know that he's wanting to leave Utah. I mean, I think he really likes where he is, and he's been able to keep them very, very competitive. And then they are in the Power 5 now. For a while, they weren't in the Power 5. Then they get into the Pac-12, you know what I'm saying? And so, and then they're doing well, and they're going to continue to, they're moving on. I guess they're going to the Big 12, right? I've forgotten.
No, they're in. What is it? Oh, who's?
Utah's in the Pac-12 right now, but the Pac-12 is disintegrating.
Right, so they are going into the Big 12.
I believe they're going into the Big 12. So, and that's still a really good league. So he doesn't necessarily have to have a bigger platform. And so, and I think he's got complete support from his AD and the school. And so I just think he likes where he is. And so I don't think it's been that important to him to climb that ladder. Like, he's not like, for example, Jimbo's an abrasive person. So he was basically demanding a lot of things out of Florida State And Florida State was just glad that, like Robert when he called in the other day, glad for him to leave because they were tired of him moaning and groaning about, his salary, moaning and groaning about the facilities, moaning and groaning about the commitment, and then going out there and leaving the program in the shape that he left it. Okay, so I don't know, but I think Winningham certainly could win big at a place like A&M. He's a hard-nosed coach.
Right.
They play really good defense. His style of football works. He's not just they're ground-oriented, but they throw the football. I think he would be a really good hire. But again, very rarely when you see these national media types like the connected guys like Ross Dellinger, Brandon Marcello, Pete Thamel, all these dudes that are college football insiders, when they throw names out there, his name hardly ever comes up.
That is true.
Because I think he's happy where he is, and certainly he would listen. But
he just fits that Utah persona now. He's been there so long that
he's just. And then Herb was winning big there, but Herb left, and then and honestly, it was probably the best thing for Utah because you found the best coach in the history of your school. Because Herb was never going to stay there anyway, man. Herb always had his eyes on the bigger picture.
Right.
And then,
you're right.
And if he could have handled himself better, he probably could have stayed at Florida. But like I said, Urban Meyer is a train wreck off the field. Okay, he is an outstanding coach, and you'll get 4 or 5 good years out of him. But then he's going to be his own worst enemy and implode from within.
And leave your program a disaster
So to me, if I'm A&M, I don't want that. I want to try to find somebody that can be the long-term fit for my school where we're going to consistently win.
All right, let's
Think
get a
about
break.
this. My last thought on Urban Meyer. Because we've had Mark McLeod on this show. We've had John Ferry on this show. We've had several
He's
Gators.
not welcome back in Gainesville.
He won 2 national championships, and they think he's a pissant. To quote Buford T.
They've honored national championship teams. They've honored what this year? Did they not honor one this year? No Urban Meyer.
They don't like the guy.
All right. We like our breaks. Let's get in one real fast. When we come back, Jeremy, we will get to you. Plus, we'll check in with Lane Kiffin. What did he say about getting fired these days? He knows a lot about it.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a couple of wrecks that turned out to be no injury accidents on Greenbrier Parkway right in front of the Mazda Toyota plant. And we got a multiple vehicle accident at Pulaski Pike and Patterson Lane. That one's being reported as an injury type. Watch for changes starting today. For the next 3 days, they're going to be working at University and Research Park. New traffic signals and new striping there. You get 2 pieces of hand-breaded, juicy, tender signature chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
As the calendar turns to November, we thank Thanksgiving And for that, we have plenty to be thankful for. As we gather with family and friends, it's a good time to make sure your heating and cooling units are up to speed. Thomas from Talkin Heating and Air with us. Thomas, if you're tired of all of that from all the other companies, give Talkin Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you're tired of hearing a bunch of, give us a call at 256-503-4490. We're still out running our special. We can come out, check out your system, make sure it's ready for heating season, and we can do that free gas inspection with that tune-up.
You can also find Talkin Heating and Air online at
TalentHVAC.com.
Don't let any of those other companies jive turkey talk you into expenses you don't need. Give Talkin Heating and Air a call today.
I'm pretty sure that you called me a jive turkey.
No, now, Lou. Nobody called anyone a JT.
Jive turkey is a little over the line, my man.
AL cert number 21014.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Welcome back into the show. Okay, let's get to Jeremy real fast.
Yeah, let's get to Jeremy.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. Look, Adeline River Noble arrived last Tuesday at 6 pounds and 9 ounces and 18.5 inches.
Awesome.
Woo, yay.
Congratulations, dude.
Good news.
Awesome.
I mean, you know, sleep is like a national championship to Michigan. I know I probably won't see one for a long time. I've got two things for you. Drew, tell me you don't want to see the headline. Looking for love in all the wrong places, he finally finds the one. Urban Meyer, the urban cowboy, comes to Texas A&M.
Lord.
You don't think that's just headline gold waiting to happen? I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah. Personally, as much as I wanted the Pirate, and good Lord rest his soul, for Mississippi State to come to the league, and I thought that was awesome, I don't want Herb back in the league. I don't need him. Uh-oh. Ronnie, is this Ronnie Millsap?
No, it's Johnny Lee.
Oh, Johnny Lee. Okay. Sorry. I remember the song. I couldn't remember who friggin' sung it.
All I can picture is Urban Meyer leaned up against the bar with a cowboy hat on, and all the girls walking by him, and him just be like, hey.
Hey, man, he already did that with Jacksonville on the bye week. Remember, he ended up in the bar, you know. And if you ask people in Florida, he might have been doing some stuff, too. I'm not going to go any further than that, but I'll just say, you know what I'm saying? Woo!
Oh, well, we know he did stuff at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Ain't no telling.
I saw a great video this past weekend parodying the whole Michigan ordeal, and it was a guy pretending to be Jim Harbaugh sitting at a press conference, and he was answering all the press's questions before they even asked him. And one guy looked up and said, how do you know our questions? And sitting in the middle of the press was Stallions with a hat on that said AP Press on his hair.
Oh, wow.
It was great.
Oh, all right, Jeremy. Congratulations on the newborn.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yes, thanks
Congrats.
for the phone call as well.
You guys.
All right. So Zach Arnett fired 10 games into his tenure at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
There's other jobs out there, but Lane Kiffin was asked yesterday about all of this, and especially the Zach Arnett firing. And Coach knows what it's like to get fired. I mean, he got fired shortly into his Raiders tenure.
He did.
And then USC on the tarmac. We all know that. Here's Coach.
Considering what's going on in the college landscape with coaches being let go and everything, does the volatility of your profession ever surprise you? Or,
yeah, it does. So, I mean, it's not like it used to be. And, you know, there used to be, you had time to build things and you had years to sign classes and see them develop, you know, before people made decisions. So it's obviously not what's going on. You know, to be let go 10 games into your first season when you get hired late, you know, like Zach really is, I mean, I don't know how you do that fast, or how the expectation is to judge you that fast about the job that you did. So unfortunately, it's kind of the end thing to fire people fast. And, you know, to me, it's a lot of grass is always greener. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. You know. Well, speaking of grass is always greener, that's why Lane flirts with every job in America.
He acts like his best friend, just like.
Well, I mean, you know, he flirted with Auburn so heavy. We'll see if he's trying to, you know, get. And I will say this about, I know Czar had on his Unleashed that he felt like that that A&M wasn't a better job than Auburn, and I guess you could argue that. But I will say, if he does end up, and honestly, quite frankly, I don't think he will. I don't see him going to A&M. I know I've seen the betting odds and everything like that, but I just don't. You know, I do think A&M's a better job than Ole Miss, even though he beat them, just simply because of the resources. I mean,
it's where you're located too.
Yeah, I mean, in the recruiting base,
in Texas,
the
a whole
money,
lot easier. Yeah,
and neither program, and of course Ole Miss was there from '92 on, has ever gone to Atlanta to play for the SEC championship game.
Right.
But I just think there's more potential at A&M. But again, that P word is dangerous.
Of all the college football opening jobs, it's probably the number one job in college football right now is Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
Number two, don't forget Michigan State. That job is open as well right now.
Mm-hmm.
You still have Boise State. That job is open.
Harsin needs a job.
Mississippi State is open. San Diego State is open.
Brady Hoke retired, I believe.
Northwestern. Remember, that job is still open.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are the five.
That job. Purple
six
Vandy,
jobs.
they're just done. I'm sorry.
6 jobs in college
Purple
football.
Vandy's been winning some games, though.
I know. Yeah. Look, they played Iowa and set the record for the over-under.
Oh, I know.
And then Iowa set the record again last week with the over-under because they beat Rutgers 22-0, almost single-handedly. You know, so this week, I don't know. But you're right, Purple Vandy's. That sounds like a drink, by the way. So, all right.
If I were a Northwestern fan after the way they treated Pat Fitzgerald, I'd want a Purple Vandy. Good Lord.
A little bit of vodka, a little bit of, I don't know what would be purple.
I don't know.
We could make something out of it.
We could.
All right.
We got Steve Robertson coming up to talk about Mississippi State, by the way.
There's a lot to talk about there. And there's a lot to talk about with Bill Bender, too, in hour number 2 as well. So,
Bill, maybe, we'll get his thoughts on Harbaugh and Wild Stallions.
America's team, not Harbaugh. It's America's team.
America's team.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Unlike other credit cards that decline sports betting transactions or treat them as a cash advance, the G-Bank Visa Signature Card can load directly to your favorite sportsbook apps. G.bank/VSiN.
Lutz kicks it on the way, and it is good!
The call on Broncos radio on his second attempt. Will Lutz
Jets with the 36-yard field goal to win it as time expired. The Broncos with a 24-22 victory over the Bills in Buffalo on Monday night. Lutz got the second chance after he missed wide right with 4 seconds left from 41 yards, but the play negated when Buffalo was flagged for having 12 players on the field. Buffalo was favored by 7.5. The Broncos paid plus 320. The under was 46. College hoops tonight, number 7 Tennessee favored by 31.5 against Wofford. Number 22 Alabama by 20.5 against South Alabama. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
So you thought. Yep. So you thought. Steve Moulton filling in for Scott Tyson, who's now on assignment. Just like that.
Yeah.
Good morning, Drew.
Snapping fingers. Good morning, Steve.
Well,
shift change.
There is a lot of shift change. I know you guys just went over some of the coaching changes, but there's now 2 vacancies in the Southeastern Conference, both in the Western Division. Only a few more months that I get to say that, so
yeah.
I just soaked that up with a biscuit. So, but a really intriguing scenario in Starkville, Drew.
It is, and it's sad, too, because we all missed Coach Leach.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the most unique characters, really, in the history of coaching because of the way he approached everything. He made everything fun. It was always – he was the best quote ever.
Yeah.
Really good football coach, too, because he did things at Texas Tech. He did things at Washington State that hadn't been done. I think he was on track to start really winning big. And I still think this team this year for Mississippi State, if he's there with the way their schedule's set up, who knows? That may have been a 9-win team.
Yeah.
I think it really got him off track, unfortunately. Like I said, since Bo Ryan, who never coached a game at LSU, passed away, that's the first time we've seen that happen. It totally disrupted everything. I think, Zach Arnett did the best job he could. He just wasn't a fit. And again, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. And who better than to help us with that than accomplished author. He has the best Mississippi State podcast there is, The Boneyard. There's no one more well-versed in the maroon and white of Mississippi State than Steve Robertson of genespage.com, part of 24/7 Sports, and he's with us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Steve, we appreciate it. I know it's been a very, very busy last 48 hours or so for you, tracking what was going on with Zach Arnett, but thanks for the time. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm good. I'm a little under the I don't know how you'd even describe it. I guess I'm kind of under the cloud, I guess you could say, just because of the fact that kind of what you mentioned. I mean, it's like, Zach Arnett took this job under some very difficult circumstances. And, one of the points that I've tried to really hammer home to people is that this is not a job that he politicked for. Mississippi State was kind of adrift in a sea of emotion.
Right.
And, it's incredible how the world works. I mean, some of these same coaches that were tweeting out their condolences about Mike Leach were also working back channels to try to poach players off the Mississippi State roster. And so that's one thing the Bulldogs had to deal with, and Zach Arnett stepped up. It wasn't a situation where he went to Mississippi State. Mississippi State went to him, and he goes, okay, I'll take the opportunity. It hasn't worked out like we hoped, but Zach Arnett is to be respected and commended for his efforts to try to stabilize the Mississippi State football program.
No doubt. I mean, there's no more difficult circumstances, and I felt for him and those players. And then he went through the injuries when you talk about Woody Marks and Will Rogers, and then and of course Tulu Griffin. A lot of his key guys got injured, and it didn't help the situation at all, and everything kind of snowballed on him. I still think he's an extremely well-respected defensive coordinator. He's certainly going to bounce back, but now you've got Zach Selman, new athletic director. That's another thing. I mean, there was an athletic director transition. You weren't because the state people weren't expecting John Cohen to leave. He leaves. That's another thing you have to deal with. So in your mind, Steve, this is a very, interesting transition for Mississippi State, and it's a critical one. Where do you think Zach Selman goes?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've probably been asked that about 1,000 times
Oh,
in
yeah.
the last 24 hours. And, it's a new administration, right? I mean, if John Cohen was still the AD, I'd probably have a better idea. I've known John since 1989 when he was a player at Mississippi State, and so you kind of knew how John operated. You kind of knew the things John prioritized. With Zach Selman, we don't know. This is the first major hire of his tenure. And so, he's vowed to kind of keep things close to the vest, and everybody does, but there are always leaks. And, he made the comment yesterday, if you don't hear it from me, you probably shouldn't believe it. And, it's interesting. I joke with him when I take all that as a challenge, because when John Cohen left, there was this edict given out in Lee Hall at Mississippi State, the administration said, hey, there won't be any leagues. And then we profiled Zach Selman as a potential candidate to replace John Cohen a month before it even happened, and so we're going to work really hard to provide the best coverage we possibly can. We had 20 stories yesterday, which I think is a single-day record for us. But, it's one of those things where, there's so many coaches out there, but also, too, it doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of Power 5 openings. Of course, you've got a few already, and it's kind of an unprecedented situation. The Texas A&M and Mississippi State play a football game on Saturday, and within 48 hours, both coaches are fired in season. It'd be one thing if it was the Egg Bowl or something, and then both teams had struggled all year, and both coaches get fired. It's an unprecedented situation to have two guys in season fired after the same game.
Steve, I cannot help but take a look at this staff in particular, and I know you guys just chronicled that no one wanted to be in this situation, but ultimately that there wasn't a whole lot of head coaching experience on this staff. The lack of big-time experience, how much do you think that may have played a factor into this kind of unraveling this year, you think, Steve?
Well, you'd hate to blame it on that. I mean, there wasn't a lot of head coaching experience, but there was over 100 years of college coaching experience. And here's the deal, too. With injuries, you lose QB1 and RB1, every offense is going to have some challenges, especially when you've got one that, Mike Wright's a guy that is a former SEC starter, but he lost the job at Vanderbilt and ultimately decides to transfer to Mississippi State and compete, and everybody thought he'd be a serviceable backup, and he just wasn't a great fit for the scheme. And so I think anybody would struggle under those circumstances, and you can excuse some of that. The thing that I think most people look at is operationally things were a mess at times. There was a 4th-and-1 play against Western Michigan early this year where State had 9 players on the field defensively. You look at that ball game Saturday with all the pre-snap penalties and some alignment issues. You'd expect some growing pains the first few weeks of the season, but you're 10 weeks in, and I think in the end it wasn't just the fact that they lost and they had some injuries. I just think on game day things were just a bigger mess than anybody ever anticipated, and I'm not one that really gets emotional publicly. Now I'll vent to my friends and my group tags and all that kind of stuff. But at halftime Saturday, I'm sitting on the press row at College Station, Texas, because we're the real deal. We're the genuine article. We don't just cover the game on TV like some other people do. We're there. And I was thinking to myself, I said, it just it hit me all at once. And I put on my message board, this cannot continue. And for me to say that, I think it was a relief for some people, because people get caught up sometimes in what we report and what we think. We're out here just kind of reporting what our sources are telling us, and that was a big part of this thing. For the better part of the season, that people in administration are telling me, oh yeah, he'll definitely get next year, and then things began to deteriorate to a point that some of his best supporters really. Saw their support for him and this program eroding. And so Zach Selman had to make the only decision he could make for the betterment of Mississippi State football, and he happened to do it yesterday, which is kind of an unprecedented situation at Mississippi State. I mean, you don't fire coaches in season at State, without some scandal, and State's been able to navigate through that for the most part. But I wrote an article last night before I went to bed. Zach Arnett is the first Mississippi State head coach in 85 years not to finish the regular season.
Wow.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Wow.
And I was just looking at you guys, and y'all track coaching searches as well as anyone. You just talked about how you guys had the athletic director search pegged with the Zach Selman, but I was looking at the hot board just to kind of see names of interest that potentially Zach Selman could look at, and one that kind of caught my eye, and then it jarred a memory because there was thought that he was very, very close to being named the head coach at Mississippi State, and he's a Mississippi State guy to the core, is Joe Judge.
Yeah, Joe was very interested in the job. I've heard some people very close to Joe. Joe nearly had the job at Mississippi State. And it was so close that his wife had even went and bought a new maroon dress for the press conference.
Wow.
And then the New York Giants called Joe's agent, and they had a deal done. And it was like basically, the morning that Mississippi State was set to fly out with the private jet, bring him and his wife to Starkville, they get the offer from the Giants. And so that's how close this thing was. Now it's a different administration now, so – Joe Judge had those relationships with John Cohen. He didn't necessarily have them with Zach Selman. And so is he a candidate? Yes. How serious? I don't know.
How about the name that we all know there in Starkville? In fact, you hear him even mentioning just in interviews, what school do you recognize with? And immediately Dan Mullen says Mississippi State. How real is that, you think, Steve?
Well, Dan has his detractors, but he also has a lot of support here. And it's interesting. I had a reader yesterday kind of pose the question, if Dan Mullen hadn't burned the few bridges that he did when he left in 2017, would he not be the leading candidate for the job? And I would say probably so. I mean, when you look at his resume and even the things he did at Florida, he only had the one bad year. But, yeah, if we know everything we know, then, yeah, it would make sense to bring Dan Mullen back. But, there's also the situation is that we do know Dan Mullen, right? And there are a lot of people, fair or unfair, that still think that he cost Mississippi State an SEC West championship in 2018. You had the number one defense in the country. You had Nick Fitzgerald back, as a senior. You had Eris Williams, the leading rusher in the Southeastern Conference, returning. And so they feel like, Dan put his own interest above that of the university. And at the end of the day, every coach does that, right? So there would be some things that would have to be forgiven for him to be fully accepted. But I certainly don't rule him out as a candidate. In fact, probably 10 days ago, I heard from two former Dan Mullen assistants that said, hey, I think it would be okay. I think Dan's learned a lot since then. I think Dan's grown up a lot since then. And one guy told me that Dan told him that the biggest mistake he ever made was leaving Mississippi State. But I think his ambition and perhaps his ego kind of led him to say, you know what, I want to go win a national championship as a head coach, and I probably have to be the blue blood to do it. So he took the opportunity at Florida. But is he a candidate? Yes. Is he the leading candidate? I would say no. I think Zach Selman owes it to himself to not pigeonhole himself into a corner and just make the easy hire. I think he's got to go out there and make the right hire.
Yeah, and I was just saying this about even Texas A&M with their deep pockets. You got to sometimes it's not about winning the press conference; it's about getting the right fit. In Steve, and I think at the time when they hired Jackie Sherrill, he was a great fit for Mississippi State. He had a great run, and Dan Mullen did. So if you get the right fit, I think that's the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely it is. And, as a guy that covers press conferences for a living, let me tell you this, nothing anybody ever says in a press conference means anything. It all sounds good. And, you print bumper stickers and T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. But there's so much that's, it's kind of pre-scripted. This is what we want to talk about. Here's the talking points. And in some situations, they plant questions in the media. And, people get so excited. Oh, I got so fired up. But let me say this, that December press conference last year, when Zach Arnett met with the media for the very first time, one of the best press conferences that I ever attended. I even walked away and said, this guy kind of gets it. He understands it. This guy's going to be okay. And so you can never base or judge future human performance based on what anybody says in a press conference. But, as far as like selling tickets and that kind of stuff, it always helps. But at the end of the day, people are judged on wins and losses and how they run their operation. And you can't talk your way out of that.
Talking to Steve Robertson right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And hearing Zach yesterday mention that basically this is not his first rodeo in terms of football searches. What do you know about him in his track record of hiring football coaches, Steve?
Well, absolutely nothing. He's never done it before. Now, he may have worked in a support role before, but he has never made a major hire. I mean, he was an associate AD and basically in charge of fundraising at Oklahoma. So we don't know. It's like he doesn't have a pedigree in that respect.
So you're saying those hands are not as hard as they perceived to be from that press conference yesterday?
Right, exactly. And that's not to be critical because everybody has to do it for the first time. The good thing is that he does come from a football family. I mean, Zach Selman was born into football and, of course, played at Wake Forest as a tight end. And, Dewey Selman, Leroy Selman, those names are royalty at Oklahoma. So he's been around the game, and you know that he's worked things operationally from behind the scenes. But as far as like being the guy that has to go recommend to a university president, hey, I've interviewed X number of candidates. We've worked through the search firm. Here we are. This is our preferred candidate. Having to make that sales pitch to a university, he's never done that before.
That's very true. And Steve, my last thought from you, I know you wrote about this on genespage.com, but expand for us when you talked about how they've got to hire a coach that can win with NIL.
Yeah, I mean, the state has made some real strides this year. I mean, and the thing that I caution people with all the time, these articles out here about who has what in NIL are completely fabricated. And anybody that believes that anybody connected with Mississippi State's NIL would release that information, and not just Mississippi State, any school. Nobody is going to put that information out there publicly. And so that understood, State kind of stumbled out of the gate, but through the Bulldog Initiative and the fact that university has become a willing partner with Bulldog Initiative, we have seen some incredible things happen over the course of the last 3 to 4 months. And so State is in a healthy position from an NIL standpoint. We don't know how that compares to the rest of the league, because nobody makes that information public. But it's a new world in which we're living in. And it's still evolving, as you guys know, and I do think eventually we'll have national legislation to govern NIL, and that'll probably change some things. But, Mississippi State's in a much better situation than I expected them to be from an NIL standpoint, because you and I both know one of the first questions the coaches are going to ask when you call is, hey, I love the facilities, I love the university and your passion, but how much money do you have to go out here and retain players and recruit players? And so State has taken some steps in a much better situation than many people believe or even expect. But there's still work to be done.
No question. Well, you always do great work. We always appreciate your time. No one better when it comes to the maroon and white. Steve, let everybody know how to follow you guys over at genespage.com.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Just go to genespage.com, and my 6th book will be out next week, and you can order at whenthebottomfalls.com. Of course, it's life lessons learned in 30-plus years of recovery from substance abuse and alcoholism. And all my sports books are at that same URL. That's Alpha Dogs, Flim Flam, Stark Villains, and Dogpile. And every Mississippi State fan deserves a copy of Dogpile. So if they didn't get it 2 years ago, get it now. Put it under the Christmas tree. I think it's a keepsake you'll want to treasure your entire life.
Well, they've all your books have done well. We know this one will is also, because I know it's a very personal one for you and it's your story. But we wish you much luck with that, and much luck, continued success at Gene's Page. And again, I know you and your wife are having going into a huge business venture in Starkville as well. Great luck with that, and I'm sure it's going to go extremely well. But we always appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Steve. Here is what what Zach Selman said yesterday. This is why I was referencing, how soft his hands are.
Right.
Yeah, Robbie, my dad had a construction company growing up, and he'd always look at my hands and say, are they still soft, or they got scars on them? So I think over my tenure in this business, if you look at my hands, they're pretty scarred up. And that's a testament to people I used to work with, so have experience at every level and at every position, every sport. So feel really prepared and understand that we've done this at 2 prior institutions I've been at.
So but to hear it from Steve, hands may not be as calloused as State fans would like them to be.
Well, he did work for Joe Castiglione, who's done a great job at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
and has been one of the longest tenured athletic directors, in the United States and in collegiate sports. And certainly OU has very strong athletics. and he's had to make coaching changes in multiple sports. So I'm sure Zach has been well versed in it. But again, it was a difficult situation for everyone involved. I really honestly felt for Zach Arnett, and with Steve Robertson coming on and detailing. I mean, there's no one that's going to know the inner workings better than Steve, and he just tells you, like, they came to him, to Zach Arnett, and said, please take the job, because they won the bowl game. They were trying to have some continuity. It was an extremely difficult situation. Trying to keep your football team together. They got guys like Will Rogers to come back, Woody Marks, Tulu Griffin. It just didn't work out. It's very sad that it did not, but Zach's going to be fine. He's a great defensive coordinator. Maybe he can go save Lincoln Sharman.
Let's go ahead and take our first time out here in this 8 o'clock hour. It's Talking Ball here on a Tuesday morning. Steve filling in for Scott. He is still Drew DeArmond. Bailey, let's head off to a break, shall we? We'll be right back.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Couple of wrecks on Greenbrier Parkway that should be clear now. We did pick up 172 in Lindsay Lane in Limestone County. That one's coming in as a no injury, and it sounds like they're going to pull it out of the way. Pulaski Pike and Patterson Lane had some injuries, still may be working on that one. And construction equipment came off a truck 31 northbound in Decatur south of Red Bank Road. May have a lane blocked up there. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Eck in the North Parkway, Popeyes, Skywatch, Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Want even more excitement on game day? It's time to get on Prize Picks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Here's how it works. Just pick 2 to 6 players and choose more or less on their stats. If you get them right, you could win up to 25 times your cash. It's quick and easy to make your picks, and with fast and safe deposits and withdrawals, Prize Picks is the place to play this season. Prize Picks has awesome weekly promotions, and they're the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Sweat it out, watch your entry update in real time, and continue the fun by making picks on second half and fourth quarter stats. Take your game day experience to the next level with Prize Picks. And right now, you go to prizepicks.com/primetime and use code primetime. Prize Picks is matching your first deposit up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/primetime with code primetime for a 100% deposit match. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for more details.
Hey, good, pleasant Tuesday morning to you. Welcome into Talkin' Ball. Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton here with you. 256-576-4977 is the telephone number. We'll talk with Bill Bender coming up here in about 10 minutes' time. But Randy has called in. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Randy.
Good morning. Yeah.
We're doing good, bud. How are you?
I'm doing good, Drew. Hey, Drew, it looks like our boys is going to Atlanta, don't it?
Yeah, they got some. They got a tricky one coming up with Auburn, but yeah, they got there. They've already clinched it.
Hey, don't they play another team though, like Middle Tennessee or something?
Chattanooga. They play Chattanooga. Auburn's got New Mexico State. Alabama's got Chattanooga, and then they're going to focus on each other.
Hey, I was going to ask you too.
Yeah.
Your boy Jumbo's gone, ain't he?
Yeah, he gone.
But he does have a parting gift.
Oh, he never has to work again in his life. Now he'll work again.
He does have a healthy gift basket
because he's an egomaniac. I just
Jimmy
can't
Sexton
wait.
season.
I can't wait to see if they try to hire him for SEC Network, and then Steve tries to get his phone number.
No.
I mean, he would say the stenographer could not keep up.
Hey, I didn't know they got a fat salary for being fired.
Oh, they do with him. Jimmy Sexton pulled this one off, brother.
I hear you.
Jimmy got he got a nice Christmas present himself. Probably $10 million plus.
I was going to ask you, the Alabama basketball team just started too, didn't it?
Yeah,
they're on tonight, as a matter of fact. They're taking on the Jaguars of South Alabama.
Yeah, and John Broome, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try to take a peek at it and see what they do.
Yeah,
you might want to. There's a couple of really nice new pieces on this basketball team, Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, I think O'May Oates is doing a good job.
He
is, no question about that.
Well, buddies, I want Hogans. I was going to holler at you in a minute.
Thank you, Randy. I hope you're doing well, sir.
Thank you, Randy.
Y'all have a good one.
And hey, I just got to say this. I'm gonna throw out a plug, and hopefully we'll get him on a show tomorrow before the game. But Huntsville High went to 3-0 last night, 80-43 road win over DAR, and now they got a huge challenge coming up. This game was just put together in the last 5 days, but the Huntsville Crimson Panthers are 3-0, and they're going to take on Montverde Academy this coming Wednesday at 6:30 Central Time. Montverde is the #1 team in the country. Kevin Boyle, who used to coach St. Patrick's in New Jersey and butt heads all the time with Bob Hurley Sr., had a great program, had guys like Kyrie Irving. He's been at Montverde since St. Patrick's closed, and they've always had one of the best programs in the country. And Huntsville High's got a really special group of kids. They've got 6 really good players, including led by senior Caleb Harrison. But I'm telling you what, Montverde, they've got 6 5-stars, including Cooper Flagg, who's the best player in the country, will probably be the #1 pick in the NBA draft in 2 years. It's going to be a huge opportunity for the Huntsville Crimson Panthers to measure themselves against the best team in America, and they're going to fly out today, later this evening. But it's going to be a huge undertaking for Huntsville. It's going to be a great chance for these kids to showcase themselves against some of the best players in the country, and really looking forward to it.
So one topic that we were discussing during the break, that there's 2 job openings in the Southeastern Conference, there's no doubt one job is clearly better than another job. We can all know that the resources behind Texas A&M make that definitely a more appealing job than Mississippi State. But I do wonder, in terms of how attractive this job is at Mississippi State. I know we just got through talking about this job.
Right.
But what other programs would it be more difficult to take over? I'm thinking Vanderbilt. I'm even thinking South Carolina. I'm thinking about other programs where it might Arkansas. I know they're going through their struggles right now. But this is a tough situation for someone to build up that culture.
Well, it is. Northwestern's going to be a difficult one when they make their hire in the Big Ten, especially with the way that league is evolving in the teams they're bringing in. But certainly it's difficult to win at Mississippi State. But if you have the right guy, you can. And I also think Mississippi State understands the kind of program that they are and need to be. They are under no delusions that they're going to win the Southeastern Conference. They did play for the SEC championship in '98 against Tennessee under Jackie Sherrill. It's the only time they ever made the championship game. But certainly they've been a very consistent program, though. I mean, I want to say they've made it to 13 or 14 consecutive bowl games. That is in extreme danger right now this year of coming to an end.
Yeah.
But Mississippi State has been a perennial postseason program and a very proud program. One that I think was a very well run for a long time as far as maximizing their resources. And Steve Robertson was kind of talking about that with the NIL that they've been able to, and their collective. So I think Mississippi State's still a really good job, and if they hire the right coach at the right fit, I think they can be very, very competitive.
Bill Bender is going to join us next. Let's go ahead and take a time out. The college football playoff rankings are tonight. Will Georgia be the new number one potentially? We'll talk about it with Bill on the other side of this timeout.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s. We're probably going to see a couple of isolated showers across the Tennessee Valley. The best chance for that's going to end up coming Tuesday night, early into Wednesday morning, and then we get other opportunities for rain through Wednesday afternoon. We are going to be a little cooler on Wednesday under a cloudy sky. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Picked up a wreck in Limestone County, 72 in Lindsay Lane. It should be, though, moved to the side of the road and no injury reported. Pulaski Pike and Patterson Lane did have an injury. Got a stalled dump truck westbound on University at Research Park. Got a roll of plastic in the roadway westbound 565 near Sparkman and 31 northbound in Decatur to south of Red Bank. You got a lane blocked up there by construction equipment that came off a truck. Snelling needs a team member with purchasing experience and a project coordinator admin. Both positions are in Greenbrier. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Eck in the 72 in Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond Lehocky Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
The representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Back here with you on a Tuesday morning. It is Talkin' Ball. He's Drew DeArmond. I'm Steve Moulton. Appreciate you listening or watching, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Tonight is another edition of the college football rankings, and we're going to see what's in front of us, but a lot to dissect with our next guest.
Yeah, he's the senior college football writer for the Sporting News. We always enjoy catching up with him. He gives us the national picture in perspective for the national championship, for the rankings, for the Heisman. It's always great to catch up with Bill Bender. Bill, happy holiday season. I cannot believe I'm saying that already, but we're welcoming you back to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, man. Okay, I know you've already done a million interviews, been asked a million times, but we've got to get your thoughts on Harbaugh and Michigan and this whole crazy scenario.
What's the question then? So are we talking about what's going on next?
Well, I just think it's a witch hunt, man. I just think he irritated the wrong person because we know this kind of subterfuge stuff goes on all the time. Who did Jim Harbaugh make so angry that they've let all this information out?
Well, it's funny when I talk to guys in the South, you guys seem to think it's not too big of a deal, and then you talk to people up here and it's the end of the world and they ruin the sport. I'm in the middle. I think they got caught. If Connor Stallions was the guy on the sideline at Central Michigan, that's a little shady.
Yeah,
but the rest of it is not that big a deal to me, if that makes sense. And the fact that they suspended him on Friday night, Drew, or Friday afternoon when he was en route, that wasn't right. So it is a little bit over the top. He did break some rules that other teams aren't doing. I mean, depending on who I talk down your way, they're like, that's Tuesday afternoon down here, man.
So at least the language in between the Big Ten and Michigan has been contentious at best.
Right.
So I do wonder how big of a rift this is causing, because after all, Bill, there is a lot of movement that we've had here over the last couple of years in schools moving conferences. I'm not trying to suggest Michigan picking up and moving to the SEC.
No.
But I mean, how bad is this relationship and how repairable is it, you think?
Well, that was the big risk that TD took, was when he gave him a 3-game suspension, and you saw an article from Michael Rosenberg talking about Michigan potentially leaving the Big Ten. They're one of the few schools that could pull off being independent. They could play an independent schedule if it really came to that. But they're not going to leave the Big Ten, and they, as much as Ohio State and them go back and forth, they need each other. They need each other for this last game that's going to draw 20 million people. I mean, it's absurd how many people watch that game. But you bring up a great point, because you could never say never, because I've been talking to you guys for about 10 years, and when I first started talking to you, I would have never said, "Hey, USC and UCLA are going to be in the Big Ten."
Oregon and Washington,
Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC. We could have maybe come up with 10 years ago, but the rest of it, not really.
Yeah.
We're talking to Bill Bender of the Sporting News, and then. Do you think this is going to drive? There's a lot of people that think that this is that ultimately the end game of this for Harbaugh is going to be back to the NFL. But he's such a different kind of person. I almost think he may dig his heels in. What are your thoughts on it?
I think he's more apt to sign an extension.
Yeah, that's what I think.
We all just, when you start making assumptions about Jim Harbaugh, you're playing the wrong game.
Exactly.
I can just tell you that, because I've dealt with him over the years. He's very strange sometimes, but he's never been bad to me. He's always been kind of cordial. He answers your questions. And he's one of those coaches I would classify, if you ask a bad question, you're going to get a bad answer. So he keeps you on your toes, and that's what they're supposed to do. So, but yeah, super unpredictable, and I would say he's more apt to come back and sign an extension than he is to leave for the NFL. But that's just me.
Well, but if there's one thing that I have heard about Harbaugh over the years, and you've asked him and been with him way more than I have, Bill, that he always wears out his welcome is what I hear time and time again, be it from Stanford or San Francisco, whatever the case may be. I know he's a Michigan man. We all know that. But I do wonder whether or not he is wearing out his welcome, although I know he's getting the job done on Saturdays, which is helping out that resume.
Matters.
Yeah, that helps out the resume a great deal.
They're a really good football team. I mean, it's for all the noise and everything that went on last week, to run the ball every play in the second half of a top 10 game. It is by ranking. I don't think it is by perception. By ranking, it's the best road victory of the season because Alabama was ranked lower when Texas beat them, and Oregon and Washington, I think Washington won the game. So, you know what I mean? Like, by ranking, it's one of the most impressive road victories of the season. I still think Texas going into Bryant-Denny was a more impressive win, though.
Well, and as this whole thing is just unfolding, I still don't buy the fact we're going to have 4 or 5 unbeaten teams. It never works out that way. We know someone's losing Ohio State and Michigan. We know I think Oregon and Washington are going to play again. Somebody's going to lose that game. Texas has barely escaped the last 2 weeks. Alabama's got big hurdles. Georgia's going to have to play Alabama. I don't see the SEC champion ultimately getting left out of this, Bill. I know there's some scenarios where it could happen. What are your thoughts on where we are right now?
Yeah, something will happen here. I mean, it's so easy to cut. I mean, the only one that they would get in trouble is if they kind of Texas to lose, to be sure. And Texas has been flirting with it. They've had back-to-back close games. They lost Jonathan Brooks for the season. They're going to have to go through either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. The Big 12 is a twisted mess. But I think the only lock to me is the winner of that Ohio State-Michigan game will probably get in.
Yeah.
And, Florida State could lose. Alabama could beat Georgia. That's what I wrote this week, and I think it's kind of a shame is I think right now, today, as the three of us are speaking, that the 4 best teams in the country are Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, and Alabama.
Yeah.
I also think that 2 of them aren't going to be going to the playoffs because they play each other.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. To tonight's rankings, how real do you think the possibility is at seeing Georgia leapfrog Ohio State tonight, Bill?
I think it's going to happen.
Yes.
I do. I mean, they had over 300 yards rushing and passing against Ole Miss, and that's a top 10 win, and I think the committee will use that to say, 4 very best teams right now. Georgia just continues to roll. For all of the talking I've done about Michigan and Ohio State in the last month, I mean, can't you guys see that a million miles away that's the best team right now? They've got healthy, and I think but I say that in saying that Alabama could absolutely beat them. Alabama's playing their best football right now and has figured out some things. So I trust those offenses like I trust those Big Ten defenses. It's just not just Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, what Iowa's doing is just incredible when you see how bad their offense is.
Yeah, their over-unders lately have been pretty stunning, Bill.
Yeah, the fact that they took a knee when they were up, it was 22-0, and it still didn't hit the cover.
My usual co-host, Scott Dyson, is a Northern Iowa grad, but a longtime Iowa fan, and that's a running joke with us what the over-under is on the Iowa games.
Well, I didn't know Scott went to Northern Iowa.
Yeah, there he goes. He went to Northern Iowa. There you go.
Panther. He's a Panther. Okay.
Yeah, they had Caitlin Clark in town. Eh?
That's right.
So, well, I mean, but that's another wrinkle in it. And with these 9 teams with 1 loss or less heading down the stretch, it really becomes a game of don't blink. And with Oregon State in the mix. So Oregon State, this team that's not going to be in the Pac-12 next year, or they're in the Pac-12, the Pac-2, all these teams left, they have the ultimate chance to play spoiler over the next couple of weeks because they're playing Washington, they're playing Oregon. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing those games and seeing if they can continue to play spoiler because they could literally knock the Pac-12 out of the playoff if they beat those teams the next 2 weeks.
Let's fast forward a year from now. What do you think we're talking about with the expanded playoffs? Is it who's hosting, who's being left out? What do you think is going to be the dominant topic November of 2024?
Great question. I think it'll be who's left out. It's always who's left out, right? So,
Yeah.
like, we'll shift our attention to, bubble college football playoff teams like we do with the NCAA tournament, where
Yeah.
we obsess over, like, a 19-11 Indiana team getting into the tournament. And that's the drawback of this thing. And one of the things that nobody has really given me a good answer on, and I had a conversation with Chris Lowe a couple years ago. He does such a fantastic job at ESPN. And we're talking about the SEC championship game, and I was kind of contending, what's the value of that in a 12-team playoff? If Georgia and Alabama are playing in the SEC championship game and they're playing for jersey color in the playoff, what's the true value of that game? And I think that's a question. I know how much money they make. I know how steeped in tradition the SEC championship game is. But if both teams are getting in, at what point does that have a little less value?
Well, as a good, we're talking to Bill Bender
Yeah,
of the senior college football writer of the Sport News. Go ahead, Steve.
But I think you answered your own question because of the value of that game and how much a revenue generator. I still remember, that special that runs on the SEC network of the game that saved college football, the Alabama-Florida National SEC championship game of Commissioner Kramer saying you got a call from ABC the very next day saying, we want to sign you up. Of just finding the value. And, of course, we know about the long-term contract with CBS as well.
Heck, they only paid $1 million to televise the first one. That's like Dirt Net going to the bathroom.
Right. But I mean, like I said though, if it's just for a bye week, and that's what it's going to become for the Big Ten and the SEC, and in the playoff era even, there haven't been. I do this stat every year. I have to go update it. There haven't been too many times where you cover a conference championship game and both teams, it's like winner getting the college football playoff.
So
not much in the SEC, right?
No.
I was at the one year with maybe 16, 15, or whatever year Georgia played Auburn, and they were both
17. Yeah,
that was 17.
17. I was at that game, and the atmosphere was a little different because it was literally win and you're in, and that was one of the few that had that kind of feel to it. Of course, I believe Alabama got in the national title game anyway that year.
They did. Yes. I was in the building for that game as well, and you're right. You could, because that was a game in the fourth quarter, ultimately until Carry-On got hurt, Carry-On Johnson.
Well, he was hurt going into the game because he had gotten into the Iron Bowl, but then, DeAndre Swift, I think, broke a run.
Yeah, he did.
And Georgia put that away and won 28-7. Bill, go ahead, Steve.
The only other place I wanted to go with this expanded playoffs do you think this is going to give at least some coaches a little bit longer of a leash to get established because there'll be more playoff teams?
Yes, I do. And James Franklin's a great example with Penn State, who, right now what's the narrative about Franklin? He can't win the big game. He's 4-16 against Ohio State and Michigan, which is incredible on its own. They struggle in those big games. But if we were in a 12-team setup, I believe Penn State would have made this playoff.
Yeah.
If we'd done it, they'd be 5 or 6 time playoff team. And that team that's had Saquon Barkley was dangerous. This team they have this year is really good on defense. They just some offensive issues that have popped up against Ohio State and Michigan. So, for him and, the Lane Kiffins out there, Ole Miss would be in the playoffs the last couple of years. So even Jimbo would have a couple playoff appearances. He might still have a job.
Well, my final question for you is, how do you handicap the Heisman race? I thought Daniels would maybe be eliminated or not, but still, I thought would still be a finalist. But then he has the monster game against Florida. I think he's the best player I've seen this year. Is he the front runner for the Heisman in your eyes, or is it Penix? Who's the front runner right now?
I mean, those two, Bo Nix, Marvin Harrison, J.J. McCarthy, his Heisman hopes probably, because it is a statistical award, his probably took a little bit of a hit when they didn't throw the ball in the second half against Penn State, although I was still contend they did that on purpose just to, show up Penn State in some ways. Yeah, Daniels and Harrison are the two for me. I mean, Penix too. If Washington goes to the playoffs, there's a good chance he's going to be that guy. Daniels, anytime you have 600 yards in a game, that's pretty incredible on its own. And then, obviously Marvin Harrison up this way. He's the best player at his position. There's no question. He's amazing. He's making plays. I hope he wears a Green Bay uniform next year. He's a really good player. But you guys' point, Drew, Steve, a lot of room to go on that in 3 weeks. It's a little more wide open than it usually is.
We've only got about a minute left, but there's at least one other guy that I don't think we're talking nearly enough about, and he's got some big games in front of him, including the SEC championship game. Is it crazy to think that Jalen Milroe can play himself at least into an invitation for the Heisman?
No, it's not. I mean, it does hurt him a little bit because, again, it's a statistical award. And remember, he sat in the South Florida game.
Oh, yeah.
Things.
Yeah.
And, but, man, is there a guy that's really flipped the script on his season more than him? Tim May, a good writer up here in Columbus, covers Ohio State. He had a good comparison to me on him this week. He said they've kind of turned him into Vince Young. Where they're just, if it's not there, just go.
Yeah. That's
Vince Young did all the way to a national championship.
Well, and I can remember that first season with the Titans as well. I saw it up close and personal of the athleticism, but maybe not studying the playbook as much as he should have.
Well, and Milroe's turned a corner there, too. I mean,
he has.
Turning the ball over. The first quarter of Kentucky, pretty just all-around awesomeness. And, it's made this Alabama team quite dangerous heading down the stretch.
No question. Well, Bill, we appreciate it. I know your schedule's busy. Where are you headed this weekend, man?
I'm home this weekend, but I'll be at Ohio State, Michigan next week. And I'm off to get a new pair of glasses because these old eyes are getting a little bit older. So I appreciate you guys having me on. I shouldn't admit that on the air.
Thank you. At Bill Bender 92. Follow him, everybody. We appreciate Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Let's take our final time out. We'll wrap things up. Tomorrow's headlines today. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're going to wrap up this morning with several problem areas. Still trying to clear Pulaski Pike and Patterson Lane. That one had injuries. Got a stalled truck westbound on University at Research Park. We've got a roll of plastic in the road westbound 565 near Sparkman. HPD will get that taken care of quickly. And we got a stalled vehicle, or a vehicle that's lost part of its load, 31 northbound south of Red Bank in Decatur. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford's Thanksgiving sales event. This is the time of year to give thanks for all the good things in our lives. And at Woody Anderson Ford, we give thanks that you're driving a Ford. Right now, we've got financing as low as 2.9% for up to 60 months on 2023 Explorer and Bronco Sport, plus $1,500 in bonus cash. Even our 2023 F-150 Crew Cab has $1,500 bonus cash and financing as low as 3.9%. And our lease rates are great, too. 2023 Bronco Sport, $389 a month. 23 Explorer, $537 a month. And our 23 F-150 Crew Cab, just $449 a month, plus $3,000 in total trade assistance and red carpet lease cash. These are 36-month leases with $36.95 on Bronco Sport, $49.21 on Explorer, and $51.51 on F-150 due at signing. Zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. These offers end November 30th. Call 539-9441 for complete details. It's Woody Anderson Ford's Thanksgiving sales event, and we hope to see you soon.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Well, your tomorrow's headlines today, I'm going to turn it into
Aaron Nola.
Saturday's headlines today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Jolene.
So, in case you did not hear, Saturday, Dolly Parton will be attending the Georgia-Tennessee game.
Uh-oh. They're trying to get all this magic going before they get brained.
So, it was brought up in yesterday's press conferences. Coach Heupel, break down Dolly Parton for me, Coach.
Anytime Dolly's going to be around, it certainly adds pressure, absolutely, to our performance. But truly, for Tennesseans, that's one that everybody will enjoy seeing.
Kirby was asked, do you know who Dolly Parton is?
No, of course
I do know who Dolly Parton is. I got parents that watched the Grand Ole Opry. Was not aware she was going to attend the game.
I think every red-blooded American male knows the name Dolly Parton.
Good Lord. Why would some millennial ask Kirby if he
knew
who...
what was brought up earlier this year? I'm trying to remember. He didn't know Miley Cyrus. I think it was Miley.
That doesn't surprise me, but of course he's going to know who Dolly Parton is. He's listening to music, friggin' Miley Cyrus. You know who her dad is, for crying out loud.
My achy breaky heart.
There you go.
Yeah. I did not go Hannah Montana. I chose to go achy breaky heart. You're welcome, America. I know everybody needed that song.
And I apologize.
Stuck in everybody's head. Achy breaky heart.
For cursing
what was that,
today.
92? Like 90,
I don't know. 89, 90, 91, 92.
He gave a free concert at Stone Mountain Park.
Oh, wow.
My neighborhood that I grew up in.
There you go.
There was cars parked out in front.
Oh, wow. This sounds like Oliver Anthony back in the day. But I'll just look again. I'm sorry, everybody. Didn't mean to curse today. Jeff got me fired
Jeff
up.
from the borough.
Of
I mean,
course
all
it
you have
is.
to say is Jeff from the borough.
We let the guy talk, and he just starts blubbering. I don't know. He gets under my skin. Grady the Greek tomorrow. I can't wait for his picks.
There's some therapy.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse.